everyone, welcome to today's video. It does feel a little bit weird talking directly to the camera like this because I haven't done it in so long. I think it must have been at least 6 months or 7 months since I last sat down and spoke to the camera like this, but welcome back. Today I really wanted to talk to you about something that it seems like it's quite a controversial subject in the art world, but I wanted to talk to you today about using references in your artwork, and I wanted to highlight the importance of using references when you're creating any type of artwork whatsoever. So just to give you a little bit of background, if you are new to my channel at all, I am primarily a portrait artist. I do mostly pet portraits and family portraits. I work primarily in pencil. I do some oil paintings as well. So using a good reference is extremely important in the work that I do. I am working on a project at the moment that is quite different to the portrait work that I usually do. I'm working on a few illustrations, which I'm going to show you the preliminary sketches for in this video. I'm going to show you how I piece together an illustration and how many references I use to piece that illustration together. Something that I see a lot with beginner artists is them questioning the use of references in their artwork, whether using references in their artwork is considered cheating or not, and I don't really understand why this is such a controversial subject, because artists use references in their artwork all the time. Every single time an artist will use at least one reference. Now I have just written a blog post all about this where I can go into a little bit more detail. I thought it was important to show how I use references in my own artwork and explain to you how to use references in your own artwork and how to do it in the correct way. The first thing that you want to do is to start tracing, and I think tracing is probably one of the most controversial subjects in artwork across all borders, whether that's illustration or portraiture or any type of artwork whatsoever. Hi everyone, it's Editing Camille here. I just wanted to jump in and make sure that I was being clear about tracing when you're using references. I'm talking about how easy it is to transfer images from one place to another and using tracing as a means to learn, not to plagiarise. Back to the video. Tracing is extremely important, and it's such a quick and easy way to learn the structure of any type of subject. Tracing is going to teach you the structure of that form much faster than anything else. So if you're new to tracing completely, the cheapest and easiest way to trace is to use your window. So what you want to do is get a printout of the photo or the artwork or wherever it is that you're trying to trace. You want to print it out at the exact size that you want the drawing to be and stick that to your window. Get a piece of paper, stick that to the photo or to the artwork that you're tracing on the window, and just simply draw your line around it there. The only downside to using your window is that it can be quite uncomfortable because you're standing up and you can't get your arm to move in that perfect smooth line that you can when you're drawing on a table. But it is the cheapest way to have a light box in your studio without actually purchasing one. Something that you need to have in stock at all times is tracing paper. Tracing paper is so cheap and it's so useful. Something that tracing paper is really useful for is transferring images. So if you have a photo that you want to transfer onto a piece of canvas, for instance, you just trace over the photo using your tracing paper, flip it over, draw over the other side, and then flip it over again, put that on top of your canvas, draw over it again, or you can scribble over it, and that will imprint the image directly onto your canvas. This is something that I learned to do in year 4 of primary school. We actually had an artist come into school that day and teach us a couple of art tips. I was really excited for it. I remember talking about it to my parents when I was at home the night before, talking about how excited I was about it, and it's something that has stuck with me for my entire life. And it's something that I've only recently stopped doing because I've invested in something a little bit higher end than using a tracing paper method. There are still elements of the tracing paper method that I still use to this day. So something that I invested in at the beginning of this year was a light box. Now I've never owned a light box before, and I can honestly say that it has completely changed the game for me. It's so convenient to have a source of light that I can control at any time of day, and the difference is absolutely huge. The light box that I'm using at the moment I just got through Amazon. It wasn't very expensive at all, it was actually really affordable. I bought it in the version that's more similar to an A3 size. So it fits on this desk perfectly. Actually, I'll get it now and show you. I've actually just been using it, that's why it's here and it's plugged in. So I'm not sure if you can see, if I put it up a little bit. You can see it fits on this desk perfectly. It's really easy to spin around if I need to get a different angle. This is how bright it gets. So it's absolutely perfect for transferring images such as line drawings or for reference. Another really helpful way to use references in your artwork is to do studies. A really good way to learn to draw the form whilst using your own references is to set up your phone or a camera on a tripod and put it on a self timer and use yourself as a model, and then you can pose in any sort of way that you need. You can also ask family or friends to pose for you, but if they're unwilling, you can also find plenty of images online. You can look on Pinterest, you can save photos on Instagram, you can look in magazines and books. But if you are doing that, you will end up having to combine many different references, which leads me on to my next point. This is my favourite way to use references in my own artwork. You can use multiple different photos, photos that you've taken, photos that you find online, photos that you find in books, in publications, in magazines, on blogs, because the main thing about using reference is that you're using it as a reference and not as something to directly copy from. So every time you use a reference, you want to be changing something about it. So for instance, in the clip that you're watching right now, I'm drawing two characters, and for one of those characters I actually used 5 different references. I used one reference for the feet, one reference for the skirt, one reference for her hands, one reference for her hair, and one reference for her face. And I played around with probably about 10 to 15 different references before I found the 5 references that were perfect for this illustration in particular. And by the time that I'd combined them all, I ended up with one completely unique character. This is how the living room design first came around. This is a tiny little sort of like a thumbnail sketch that I did with a little colour study at the side. Things have changed a little bit since this original, but it's kind of similar to how it is here now. This is the second version that I did. I've changed, rubbed out and drawn over quite a few times just to get everything in the right place. So what's changed from here, there's a little cat basket here which I just replaced with a cat here, and the scenery's changed a little bit, and the windowsill, and this area here is just a little bit more detailed than it is here. And I got rid of the table in the middle with the biscuits on. That's just all nice and clear now, so I thought that would be a little bit cleaner. But I wasn't happy with this character here, which is the main character. Originally I wanted her to be sat on a stool. I wanted it to be really clear that she wasn't as comfortable as the person that was being cared for, who was like lounging in a comfy chair. But from a visual perspective, I just didn't think it looked right. And also I think this character's too big. I got my ruler out and I measured where all the points of this character's body is compared to here, and this character's head actually comes to where this character's eyes are, so she was definitely disproportionate. So I rethought it and ended up mirroring this chair here to the other side to create more of a symmetrical look. And I completely redrew this character, which took quite a while, but I think it looks so much more realistic. Obviously I was unable to set this room up in real life, have 2 characters and take a picture of it and then work from that reference. So as you've seen in all the cutaways, I used multiple references to piece this living room together, and I'm really happy with how it's come out. It'd be interesting to count how many references I've actually used. I did save them all to a folder in here, but for some reason they're not all saving. 1, 2, 3, 4, this one twice, but the mirror image. So I suppose that counts as 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In here, 8, 9, 10, 11. So over 10. That's a lot of references. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like any more information on using references in your artwork, then I have written a full blog post about that, and I will link that in the description below. I'll see you next time. Bye.